cigarettes because no other cigarette does it like Camels. I'm Dr. Phil Davis, and I smoke Camels every day. Camels are the best thing that has ever happened to me. There are no downsides to Camels. They are healthy, and everyone should try them.
Good morning. Today's top story. Dust storms are ravaging the prairie provinces, causing farmers to struggle and lose valuable land and money. Overplowed fields and a drought are causing quite a stir, and already 47% of farmers have fled to cities in search of work. During the recent World War, farmers were overplowing their fields in an attempt to provide enough wheat for Canadians both at home and fighting overseas. This unsustainable farming left the already dry soil even more dry and unanchored. Ready to be swept up by the wind. Unfortunately, a drought has worsened these conditions. Here's some footage of these black blizzards. Now, whole families are struggling to survive because the breadwinners of the home are out of work due to the impossible farming conditions. Canadian and American farmers are all being forced out of their work and to leave their homes. These large black clouds of farming soil causing all of this destruction are being created by the soil being torn off of the fields, accumulating over long distances into the black blizzards that are wreaking havoc. We can expect this disaster to affect the economy for years to come because of the sheer number of farmers that are leaving the prairies. For more information, let's go over to our meteorologist, Donald Windsor.
Donald Windsor here, meteorologist for Toronto News. The Canadian Dust Bowl has been a true devastation to farmers and Canada as a whole. The huge dust storms that have ravaged the area destroyed crops and made the overall living conditions intolerable. The drought, unusually high temperatures, wind erosion, and poor land use have been the cause to this environmental disaster. Canada has been faced with a massive drought, and strong winds have picked up. The 200-mile wind dirt cloud ascending from the ground appears black, which gives the storm the name Black Blizzard. The dust storms have continued to trend northwards, increasing the potential for further wind erosion. The dust accumulated has affected the circulation and precipitation in the area. The prairies in Canada have only received 60% of the regular rainfall, as the prairies are experiencing a deathly heat wave of up to 45 degrees Celsius. There was a loss of fertile topsoil, as the wind has picked it up and has been blowing away. The land has now been vulnerable to the drought, as the rain has stopped. The weather patterns during the dust storm have been caused by the Pacific Ocean having cooler temperatures with a combination of the warmer temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean. This has contributed to the low jet stream, causing a change in its course. Overall, the dust storms have been causing great destruction, and it's advised that the citizens remain indoors as it is causing asphyxiation, suffocation, as well as possible damages to the organs, such as the lungs. Now back to you, Sally.
Thank you, Donald. Now over to our field reporter, Walter Edwards, coming to you live from Regina, Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Sally. And I am here today in Regina, Saskatchewan with local farmer Humphrey Johnson, whose house and farmland have been greatly affected by the recent dust bowl that has swept through this small town. I am here today to discuss the tragic events that have taken place here. But first, let me get to know you. Tell me a little about your family history.
Well, my family came over from Great Britain in 1902, just before the war.
Yes, and, so you're a foreigner then?
Yes, I was born in London, but my family moved here when I was 2. We moved out here to farm. When my father went off to the war, I took over our family, and I've just been farming here ever since.
So, what's your main product that you grow and sell? What are your farming techniques that you use to farm them?
Well, mostly farm wheat, but I also have a cattle farm for milk from the family. When farming, you have to be careful to keep the ground fertile, which many farmers don't understand, and that's why so many farmlands around this area have been abandoned.
I know what you're talking about. Well, I'm quite sure that your farming techniques have changed from regular times to now, the Dust Bowl times. And you say you have cattle. I heard from many other farmers and that many cows have either asphyxiated to death or have very harmful breathing problems after these storms have passed through. Did this happen to any of your cattle?
Luckily, I only lost one of my 7 cattle, and as for the new farming techniques that I've learned to use during the Dust Bowls, well, in reality, I broke out the tools that the original pioneers used when the weather was rough. I'm planning on increasing my milk cow herd up to 10 cows.
Oh, wow.
So that way my family and I can have milk and cheese, and then we can use the cream, and we will be able to sell the cream from the cows, and then we can feed all the skim milk to our chickens.
I gotta love me that skim milk. So, you have pigs and chickens then. What happened to them when in the storms? I suppose you kept them inside.
Yes, that's how we were able to save so many of them.
Oh, well, all right. Could you continue explaining how your farming techniques have changed?
Of course, when we ran out of wheat, we would then harvest the thistles, and if that ever failed, we would then dig up the soapweed and then hand feed it to the animals.
Oh, interesting. Did the dust storms move a lot of the soil, like, stir it up?
Yes, they did. But we were able to still harvest the thistles as they were firmly packed into the ground, as well as we were able to dig up the soapweed, which was far under the ground and did not get affected by the winds and the dust.
Okay, I see. So, how badly have you been affected personally by these dust storms?
Well, besides my land being destroyed, my house also lost a lot of its shingles.
That's awful.
We were not nearly as bad as our neighbors were off, though. They were forced to move to the city because their land was just so far beyond from repairing.
You got a little bit of a stutter there, don't you?
Yes, of course. So far from repairing that any attempt would be futile. Now, I had gone to the bank to see if I could get some insurance for my house, and the man said, "Oh, I have to see your land." So I said, "All right," but then I noticed that the dust bowl, was coming straight towards the window of the bank. So I said, "Please wait a moment," and he seemed kind of...
An odd thing to say.
Yes, that exactly. And so what happened, the dust storm came and hit the window, and when it did, I said, "Well, there it is."
You witty young fella.
Yes, I am.
Well,
I'm older than you.
That's all we have time for questions today.
All right.
Thank you for answering the questions that we have.
Oh, it was a pleasure. It really was.
And there we have it. We wish you the best of luck in your endeavors to the
Thank you.
future. And back to you, Sally.
Thank you, Walter. We will be bringing all of you at home updates on the state of the prairies over the next few weeks. Now over to John Watson for traffic.